What happens when a late-night talk show host pushes one of Hollywood's biggest legends too far? What happens when professional courtesy gets thrown out the window for the sake of cheap laughs and ratings? The Tonight Show studio was buzzing with its usual energy as Arnold Schwarzenegger made his way to the guest chair. The Austrian Oak, now in his 70s, but still commanding every room he enters, had come to promote his latest documentary about climate change activism. The audience erupted in applause as he settled into the chair across from Jimmy Kimmel, who was grinning that familiar smirk his regular viewers know all too well. Arnold Schwarzenegger, everyone, Kimmel announced to the crowd, his voice carrying that trademark blend of enthusiasm and barely concealed mockery. The Terminator himself here to talk about saving the planet. How very California of you, Arnold. Arnold's smile was genuine as he waved to the audience. Thank you, Jimmy. It's great to be here. And yes, I am very passionate about environmental issues. This is something that affects all of us, you know. Right. Kimmel nodded, shuffling his note cards with theatrical importance. But before we get to all that serious stuff, I have to ask about something that's been on everyone's mind. There's been some talk about your past, some old stories resurfacing. You know how the internet is these days. Arnold's expression shifted slightly, the warmth in his eyes cooling. Jimmy, I thought we were here to discuss the documentary and the important work being done on climate change. Oh, we'll get to that? Kimmel waved dismissively. But come on, Arnold. You're a public figure. People want to know about the real you, not just the sanitized version your publicists want us to see. The audience sensed the tension. The applause died down as they picked up on the undercurrent running through the conversation. Arnold leaned forward slightly, his massive frame making the guest chair look smaller. What exactly are you trying to get at, Jimmy? Kimmel's grin widened, something almost predatory behind it. Well, there have been some stories, some allegations from your past. People talking about your behavior on movie sets, your time as governor. Don't you think your audience deserves to hear your side of these stories? Jimmy, Arnold's voice, carried a warning now, his Austrian accent deepening. I came here in good faith to discuss important environmental issues. I did not come here to be ambushed with gossip and rumors. Ambushed? Kimmel laughed, but there was no humor in it. Arnold, this is a talk show. We talk about things, uncomfortable things. Sometimes that's what makes for good television. Camera operators zoomed in, catching every flicker of emotion, every micro-expression, every shift in body language. Arnold's jaw was set now. His legendary composure was being tested in real time. Good television? Arnold repeated slowly. Is that what this is about? Ratings? Everything's about ratings, Arnold. You know that better than anyone. You've been in this business long enough. Kimmel leaned back, clearly enjoying the friction. But seriously, don't you think after all these years, after everything you've done, people deserve some honesty? Some accountability? The word accountability hung in the air like a gauntlet. Arnold's hands gripped the arms of his chair. Accountability, he said quietly. You want to talk about accountability, Jimmy? Let's talk about the accountability of a talk show host who invites someone on his show under false pretenses. False pretenses? Kimmel's eyebrows rose in mock surprise. Arnold, I never said we wouldn't discuss your past. That's part of who you are. You told my people this was about the documentary. Arnold's voice was rising now, not quite a shout, but close. You said you wanted to discuss environmental activism and the future of the planet. Instead, you want to play gotcha journalism, like some tabloid reporter. The audience was silent, sensing this wasn't part of any script. This wasn't banter. This was something else. "Look, Arnold." Kimmel's tone sharpened. "You can't just pick and choose what people get to know about you. You've been a public figure for decades. You've made mistakes. People have a right to know about them." "Mistakes?" Arnold's voice was cold now, dangerous. "You call decades of public service, of trying to make a difference in the world, mistakes? That's not what I'm talking about, and you know it." Kimmel shot back. "I'm talking about the other stuff, the personal stuff, the stuff you'd rather everyone just forget about." Arnold stood up slowly, all 6'2" of him, rising from the chair like a mountain. The audience gasped. "I think," Arnold said, his voice filling the studio, "that this interview is over." Kimmel raised his hands in mock surrender, still seated. "On. Come on, sit back down. We're just getting started here." But Arnold stayed on his feet, towering over the desk, his presence dominating the room. "No, Jimmy. We are finished. This is not what I agreed to." Kimmel's tone shifted to something colder, laced with mockery. "The big, tough Terminator can't handle a few questions? What happened to I'll be back? You gonna storm off like some prima donna?" The jab hit hard. Arnold's expression darkened, his eyes flashing. "Prima donna?" His voice dropped, almost a whisper, but it carried. "You think this is about ego? About me not being able to handle criticism?" "Isn't it?" Kimmel pressed, leaning forward. "You're throwing a tantrum on live television because I asked a few hard questions." Arnold let out a bitter laugh. "You haven't asked one legitimate question. All you've done is try to corner me with innuendo and tabloid trash." Kimmel's grin faded. He leaned in, his voice more serious but still sharp. "You've been in politics, Hollywood. You know how it works. People talk. Stories come out. Sometimes you have to address them." "Address what exactly?" Arnold snapped. "You haven't said a single specific thing. You're hiding behind vague hints like a playground bully, too scared to speak plainly." Kimmel's face flushed. For the first time, the smugness slipped. "Coward?" He stood up, eyes locking with Arnold's. He still had to look up. "I'm not the one running from questions, big guy." "I'm not running," Arnold shot back, his voice rising. "I'm refusing to play along with a setup disguised as journalism." "Character assassination?" Kimmel scoffed. "All I'm doing is asking you to be honest, to address things that have been said." Arnold's patience cracked. "What things, Jimmy? Say it. If you have something to accuse me of, say it. Stop hiding behind whispers." A heavy silence filled the studio. Audience members froze, some slowly lifting their phones. Kimmel didn't retreat. He leaned in. "Fine. Let's talk about the women who worked on your movie sets. Let's talk about stories from your time as governor. Let's talk about the behavior people have been whispering about for years." Arnold's voice turned to ice. "Whispering. Gossip. Rumors. This is your standard of journalism now?" "It's not gossip when multiple people say the same things," Kimmel countered. "It's not rumors when there are patterns." Arnold's voice erupted. "Patterns? You want to talk about patterns? Let's talk about the pattern of talk show hosts chasing headlines, selling out their credibility for controversy." Kimmel let out a shaky laugh. "My credibility? I'm not the one with credibility problems here." Arnold stepped closer, to the desk. Studio security stirred at the edges. "You bring me here under false pretenses. You bait me with vague accusations. You avoid specifics and call it journalism. And I'm the one with a credibility problem." The murmurs in the audience grew louder. Unease rippled through the room. Kimmel ignored it. "Look, Arnold," he said, voice dipping into condescension. "I get it. You're used to being the star. But this is my show, and on my show, we ask the questions that matter." "Questions that matter?" Arnold's voice rang with disbelief. "Jimmy, the planet is dying. Climate change is displacing communities, destroying homes, killing people. And you want to waste everyone's time digging through tabloid garbage?" Kimmel rolled his eyes and waved a hand dismissively. "Spare me the noble speech, Arnold. You came here to promote your little documentary, right? Well, part of promotion is answering questions about who you really are." Arnold's face darkened. "Little documentary? You just reduced a project aimed at saving lives to a marketing gimmick." Kimmel shrugged, unaware, or unconcerned, that he was pouring gasoline on the fire. "Let's keep things in perspective. It's not like you're curing cancer." That was the breaking point. Arnold's fists clenched at his sides. When he spoke, his voice trembled with fury. "Not curing cancer? Do you have any idea how many people die every year from pollution-related illnesses? Do you even understand that climate change is not an abstract idea? It's a killer right now, in real time?" Okay, Kimmel said, tone still laced with sarcasm. "You're saving the world. Great. But that doesn't give you a pass from answering uncomfortable questions about your past." Arnold's voice exploded in the studio. "Uncomfortable questions? You haven't asked a single real question all night. All you've done is toss around insinuations and baseless accusations. This isn't journalism. It's a circus." The studio was electric now, tension thick in the air. Audience members sat frozen, some recording, others too stunned to move. Arnold stood firm, breathing hard, his legendary composure cracked. Kimmel, sensing he may have gone too far, tried to steer things back. "Arnold, maybe we just got off on the wrong foot," he said, forcing a smile. "Why don't you sit down and we can start over?" Arnold laughed, a dry, bitter sound. "There is no starting over from this. You showed your true colors. Tonight. My true colors?" Kimmel's voice tightened, suddenly defensive. "I'm just doing my job, Arnold. I'm asking the questions viewers want answered." "No," Arnold shot back, voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "You're hiding behind your audience. You're using them to justify cheap, disgraceful behavior." The camera crew zoomed in, capturing every charged moment. This was no longer just a late-night interview. It was an implosion in real time. Kimmel raised his voice, bristling. "Everything I brought up tonight has been reported. I'm not inventing this stuff." "Reported by who?" Arnold demanded, stepping closer to the desk. "Tabloids? Gossip blogs? Anonymous sources with vendettas? That's your standard?" "Legitimate news outlets," Kimmel shot back, but there was a tremble beneath his words now. "Name one," Arnold challenged. "One credible source, one specific allegation. No generalities. Say it." Kimmel fumbled with his note cards, eyes scanning in desperation. "Well, there have been several reports." "Name one," Arnold roared. "One name, one real source, or admit this entire thing is built on hearsay." The silence stretched, unbearably. Kimmel's face flushed deep red as he realized he had no answer. "Look," he finally muttered, voice tinged with desperation. "I don't need to prove anything to you. The stories are out there. People can decide for themselves." Arnold nodded slowly, cold satisfaction settling into his features. "Ah, there it is. The truth. You have no evidence, no facts, just gossip and rumor, And you tried to use my presence here to legitimize it. That's not what this is about, Kimmel said weakly. Then what is it about, Jimmy? Arnold's voice dripped with disdain. What did you think you were going to accomplish here tonight? And in that moment it became clear. Kimmel was losing the room. Even his own audience had begun murmuring with unease, disapproval growing as the confrontation dragged on. I'm just trying to have an honest conversation, Kimmel said quietly. Arnold stared at him for a long beat, then slowly turned and walked off set without another word. The studio was dead silent, and then applause, scattered at first, then swelling, a television moment etched in history. Honest? Arnold's voice erupted again, incredulous. Jimmy, there's been nothing honest about this interview. You lied to get me here. You ambushed me with baseless accusations, and you've wasted everyone's time, your audience's time, with this circus. The crowd was no longer passive. Some began cheering in support of Arnold. Others booed, their disapproval aimed squarely at Kimmel. The host, visibly rattled, was losing control of his own show. Arnold, please. Kimmel tried again, this time his voice almost pleading. Just sit down. Let's talk about your documentary. That's why you came, right? Arnold stared at him for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, but sharp with disgust. You had your chance, Jimmy. You had the chance to talk about something that matters, about the climate, about people who are suffering. But instead you turned this into a cheap tabloid ambush. He began walking toward the edge of the stage, his imposing frame radiating fury with each deliberate step. Arnold, wait! Kimmel called after him, panic creeping into his voice. Don't leave like this. We can fix this. Arnold stopped and turned back, his eyes blazing. Fix this? He repeated, his voice ringing through the silent studio. Jimmy, you can't fix what you've done. Tonight you showed the world exactly who you are. And who am I? Kimmel asked almost reflexively, then immediately seemed to regret it. Arnold's reply was like a hammer strike. You're a small man, Jimmy. A small man who thinks tearing down others makes him bigger. You are everything wrong with the media today. The words landed like blows. Kimmel stood frozen, mouth agape. You have no integrity, no honor, no respect for your guests or your audience. You're a parasite, feeding off scandal because you're too lazy and too incompetent to create something meaningful. Now the studio was silent. The audience was motionless, transfixed by the brutal takedown. You want to know what accountability looks like? Arnold pressed on, his voice rising with each word. It means owning your mistakes, treating people with basic human decency. It means doing your job with integrity, not hiding behind gossip and cheap shots. Kimmel couldn't respond. His face had gone pale. His hands trembled as Arnold delivered the final blow. You'll never get another chance to have me on this show again, Jimmy. And I will make sure everyone in this industry knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Without another word, Arnold turned and walked off. The sound of his boots echoed as he disappeared behind the curtain, the cameras trailing him all the way. Kimmel stood alone at his desk, dazed and visibly shaken. The audience didn't know what to do. Some clapped hesitantly for Arnold's exit. Others sat in stunned silence, and many glanced at Kimmel with looks ranging from disappointment to outright contempt. Trying to salvage what little dignity he had left, Kimmel cleared his throat and forced a thin, nervous smile. Well, he muttered, barely above a whisper. We'll be right back, after this commercial break. But everyone in that studio knew. This wasn't just a bad segment. This was a rupture, A breakdown of trust between host and guest. A moment that would ripple far beyond the confines of late-night TV. Backstage was chaos. Producers shouting, crew members scrambling. But Arnold moved through it all like a man on a mission. He didn't slow down, didn't look back, didn't say a word to the reporters or assistants trying to chase him down. He was gone. And what he left behind wasn't just a viral moment. It was a reckoning. The footage would be replayed, dissected, memed, and argued over for weeks to come. But in that moment there was only silence, and the echo of Arnold's final words. A warning, a lesson, and a reminder. Even in Hollywood, some lines should never be crossed. What did you think of this unbelievable confrontation? Have you ever seen a celebrity dismantle a host like this on live TV? Was Arnold right to walk off, or did he go too far? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking celebrity showdowns you won't believe actually happened. See you in the next one.